What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Today's episode, we have our week 12 matchups preview. We got starts, we got sleepers, we got sits, all that good stuff. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Trophy Smack. Head over to trophysmack.com/dudes. 15% off your whole entire order, guys. Get that fantasy football trophy now. I am joined by Jordan and Seth. Phil is not here. I am not sure what Phil is doing. Apparently had to travel someplace that did not have Wi-Fi accessible. So anyways, Phil is not here. Not sure why, but it's 2024. Wi-Fi should be available at all hotels. That or he's just very incompetent. Hey, but two things can be true. So guys, before we jump into this huddle, it's been a rough week for me. I just wanted to bring that up. And, Phil normally, with our huddle talks about 10 minutes about stuff that's kind of nonsense. And, we are a pod that talks about fantasy football, but we also believe in learning from our mistakes. Would you say that's possible? Something, would you agree with that, Seth?
I think some of us do.
Yeah. So for all you new listeners, you might want to skip. Yeah, I'm getting like the yes and the no if I should share everything with me on Tuesday. So I'll at least share 50% of the bad things that happened to me on Tuesday. So my wife needed her car full of gas. I took my wife to the gas station. My other daughter wanted to come and get something, so I said, yeah, we can get it. We can get an alligator. That's what she calls Gatorade. Okay. And so we go there, we get it. And then I also got her one of those little Seth, what are those little white candies, and they have a toy in them. You know what I'm talking about? They're like chocolate with the spoon, and there's the toy in them too. Anyways, they look like an egg. So I got her one of those. What?
I don't know.
Okay. So I got her one of those too. While I'm walking out of the gas station, since I'm filling up my truck, I see a buddy from high school I haven't seen in 12 years. So I said, hey, I got to talk to this guy. My daughter's getting really kind of annoyed that, she hasn't gotten to open her toy yet, that I'm still talking to this guy. I finally open up my wife's minivan door with the key fob, and she gets in there. And so she's waiting. She's kind of yelling at me while I'm in the car. I'm still talking to this guy. And, I talked to him for about 10 minutes, buddy of mine. Finally, I'm just like, hey, I got to go talk to my daughter. I got to go. I got to open her toy. I get in the car, open her toy to get her to be quiet. I proceed to forget, and I drive off with my car with the gas hose still in it.
No, you didn't.
So we do a lot of stupid stuff on this pod. Jordan, you haven't always known what a gopher hole is. Seth, you once kicked your shin on a truck and then kicked it again after. Phil asked a girl to Sadie's once. So everybody on this pod's done stupid stuff.
I don't know if I've ever done something that stupid, but I've done a lot of stupid things,
was the
Trent, but that was I'm not there.
It was bad. It was bad. And that was only half of the dumb things that happened to me. So.
You should please tell me you got the security footage, because obviously you had to go inside and tell this guy hey, I just destroyed your pump and my car.
Yeah, and your toilet. But no, that was a whole nother thing. But no, so basically, I was like, dang it. I wanted to take a picture of it, but what, Jordan?
How far did you drive before you realized that the thing was gone?
Oh, about 5 yards. As soon as I did it, and it was so slow.
What's the damage here? What are we talking about?
It was $250, which was a lot.
Completely pulled it from the pump.
And my buddy that I saw from high school, bless his heart, he starts arguing with the manager at the gas station saying, that's not even that bad. You can hook that up easy. That should not be $250. That's like a $20 fix. So my boy from high school is like negotiating for me. And I'm just like, please just put a paper bag on my face. Take whatever you want. I just want to leave. And the guy's like,
not really.
Didn't mess up my wife's car at all. So really, if you're going to do this, it was the best way it could possibly happen. But so absolutely Tuesday was an absolutely just, some days you're the dog, everywhere? Some days you're the hydrant. What, Seth?
And then no gas everywhere.
No, because I was done filling up. I'd been there for 20 minutes.
I'm glad you finally put out your cigarette too. So that's good.
Basically. Yeah. Sorry, I left your Zins there, Seth. But so absolutely probably it's got to be up there for dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. So, Seth, you probably filled your car up with diesel.
Trent, I'm just happy to say at least you were distracted by a friend you haven't seen in a while and your kid. So that's good. I'm glad you weren't there by yourself, because that would have been it's still embarrassing. But I mean,
I just was there too long, and I did things different. There's a theory to the madness when you get gas. I go in usually, I pay, and then I come back and I wait and I leave. Well, since my daughter was there, I was like, hey, we're going to go pay. Then we're going to come back and fill up. Then we're going to go get the treat. And so I add an extra step. I'm a man of, simple things that I do. And yeah, this was just bad. So absolutely top 3 dumbest thing I can think of that I've done. My cousin crashed into his mailbox once, and I thought that was pretty stupid. I think I take the cake here though.
I
So
think so.
it's on there. So my other cousin had his garage door closed on his truck and broke his back windshield. So that's also on there, but not as bad as
I
this.
told him
This
he
is,
should wait for the garage door to go all the way up before backing out.
yeah. So I'm down bad, and then should I share what else happened to me, or you think this is just good to just
I mean, you
pull the
don't be
plug
super
here?
graphic, but you could share the basic gist of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that
Basically,
bad.
so I found out I had a boil that had to get drained. So there's the G version. I sent the picture to the group text. Sorry if that was too graphic for you guys. So yeah, got a boil drained and drained a gas station. So there you have it, boys. But I think we should break this huddle. This has probably been our weirdest huddle. Phil's probably, would be crying here. He'd have a lot more questions. I will not go to the Valero across the street from McDonald's ever again. I don't want to be seen there. So even though they have the best drink selection, because they do have the liquid deaths there, Seth, but I'm going to just sacrifice that. So not going there ever again. I'll pay the extra money at the other Valero downtown and deal with the high schooler kid rush. So guys, if you think I'm an idiot, leave us a comment on YouTube at TFF Dudes. And or if you've done this before, let us know. But we always appreciate feedback for everything on this pod. So let's jump right into Thursday night football. Jordan, you want to give us the totals and we'll jump into Thursday night football. We're 12 weeks in. We've been doing this pod for exactly 4 years, and I still don't know that I got to give you the week 4 totals, Jordan. So
So let's see here. Seth
week 11, sorry.
Week 11. Yeah, week 11 totals. Seth and Phil tied at 8-6. I went 9-5, and Trent is 10-4. That gives Trent 4.5 wins. Seth is at 3, Phil's at 2, and I'm at 1.5. Man, I got to figure out how to beat Phil. Like, this is, I'll never live this down if I lose to Phil.
Yeah, that's like losing to like your little brother, in arm wrestling. Like, you got to figure it out. Maybe worse. But yeah, I felt like while I was watching the game on Sundays, I don't like look back and see who I picked, but the whole time watching, I was like, I did not feel like I did as good. But really, because normally 10 wins doesn't get it done for you on this pod. This year at least. So anyways, shouldn't have went with the Cowboys. I should not have. I should have trusted my gut, which has got me everywhere, and it's got me to pull out gas tanks or gas hoses, all that good stuff. But it really wasn't bad, guys. Like it was such a clean pop. Like I know I probably could have fixed it, and I don't have a mechanical bone in my body. Okay, week 12 preview brought to you, or Thursday night preview brought to you by our friends over at Underdog, guys. We'll hop into this right now. So here we go. Week 12 preview. Start this puppy up. So just looking at Underdog, best place for fantasy sports, guys. Enter promo code DUDES. They'll match you up to $1,000. Here's just some plays they got on Thursday Night Football between Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. 216.5 passing yards for Jameis, 83.5 passing yards for Russ. If you think either one of them is going to throw an interception or have a rushing TD, you can get that multiplied by up to 5. So go check that out over on Underdog, guys. So, and I believe Seth, you're going to give us the totals here since Phil's gone. Phil's playing hooky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right,
so
take it, Seth.
Thursday night football, brought to you by Underdog. We have the Steelers of Pittsburgh playing at the Cleveland Browns. This is a low total at 36.5, and Pittsburgh is favored away by 3.5. I have a sleeper in this game, and I might just jump right into it unless you guys want to say some things first.
No, jump into it.
So my sleeper this week, I got Jaylen Warren. So one thing about this, it's why it's a sleeper and not necessarily a start, is Najee Harris is the lead back there, but Jaylen Warren does play a decent amount, and he is the more favored guy in the receiving game. Now, recently, he hasn't had put up any crazy numbers, but he has been more efficient than Najee Harris with less touches, and he gets work in the passing game. The main reason why I like this play is I think the Steelers are still committed to running the ball, and they will pass, and they are good at both. Taysom Hill absolutely gouged the Browns last week for 138 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns for on only 7 carries, okay, and 8 receptions for 50 yards. So Taysom Hill almost had 200 total yards. Actually, he did 200 total yards of offense because he had a really nice kick return. So this Browns defense against the run game is very vulnerable. Now, that did come in a wildcat style offense that they are running, but Jaylen Warren, I think, is going to at least put you into a position to be like, man, if this guy's on my bench, I'm going to wish I started him because I think he's going to put up at least 10 points this week. Really like this play. Jaylen Warren, my sleeper. Really like it.
Yeah, and it's really not like Jaylen Warren, just looking at his past few games, I've been watching him because I have Najee Harris in a couple of leagues. He's being efficient. He's just not getting the volume there. Like, I don't know if he's getting the goal line carries. And I do know that Najee Harris he's very close to becoming like the Steelers' all-time 5th leading rusher. And they're thinking he might do it in this game. But I don't hate Jaylen Warren. He's kind of getting going a little bit more about the same every week. I don't like this spot for really Jameis at all, though, Jordan. Like, what are you thinking on that? Like, not a good matchup for like Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy. Like,
yeah, I don't really like it either, to be honest. I like the Pittsburgh side a lot more. I like James to throw a pick, though. I think that could happen. So,
like Jameis actually made Jerry Jeudy look like a first-round draft pick last week, which is something that's never happened. But Steelers are only giving up 21.2 fantasy points per game against wide receivers, so not very good, matchup there. And then running back or quarterbacks, it's even worse. They're giving up, what are they at on quarterbacks? Their 30th best matchup for quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are getting 11.7 fantasy points per game, so really rough for Jameis there. I had Nick Chubb as a start of the week last week. Can we say Nick Chubb revenge game? Is that something that, the team
Nick
that hurt
Chubb
him?
revenge game. Wait, revenge.
Isn't this the team that hurt his knee?
Oh, you are stretching for revenge here.
I was like,
if you got your ACL absolutely, split backwards like that, you remember the team that did it to you, though. There might be something there. There might be
a good game before that happened too.
I think it was okay. Like he was like an absolute terror last year before that injury. So probably, but yeah, it's definitely a stretch there. After last week, how bad Nick Chubb did as my start of the week versus the Saints, I really don't feel confident in him. And I don't think this is a place you have to play him by any means, especially where you got him, because Steelers against the run that might be the worst thing for them. They're 24th. They're giving up 17.6 fantasy points per game against the run. But I don't know if we really need to spend any more time on this. I think I like George Pickens on the Steelers side, and I think everyone else is just okay. It's kind of where I feel like leaving it. Okay.
I agree.
Don't play Russ. Even though Russ's strength of schedule is pretty good after this. But yeah. So George Pickens is what I like, and that's where I'm gonna stay. Fun fact though, Jordan, just looking another one, and maybe this is a stretch, but I don't think Mike Tomlin's ever. Let me see this. I found this earlier today. I have a bookmark here. I'll pull it up on my phone here. Mike Tomlin, I think he struggles on Thursday Night Football a little bit. He is never won a road divisional game on Thursday night, going 0-7 all time and 0-5 with Mike Tomlin. Okay, Steelers have never won a road divisional game on Thursday night, going 0-7 all time and 0-5 with Mike Tomlin as their head coach. They play the Browns in Cleveland on Thursday. Will the slump continue? So
I say it does not continue.
I'm going Steelers too. Seth, what are you doing?
I'm going Steelers.
And Steelers. All right, Steelers all the way across. Phil hopefully will send his picks in because he's doing so good. I think he'll have a hard time doing it without Seth here to help him to copy. But Seth, what do we have next here, brother?
Yeah, so the next game, we have the highest total of the week. We have the Detroit Lions traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts. The line's at 50.5, and Detroit is favored by 7.5. Trent, you have a sit and I have a start. Trent, do you want to start with your sit?
No, let's go with your start first.
Okay.
Sorry.
So my start this week, I have Josh Downs. Josh Downs has had a little bit of a weird season because we've seen some quarterback changes in Indianapolis, saying Anthony Richardson, and then we go to Joe Flacco, and then they say, hey, we're going to start with we're going to start with Joe Flacco the rest of the season, and then Anthony Richardson comes back. And surprisingly, it seems like Josh Downs is the preferred target of either quarterback. So I think I kind of like it. He has big playability. He can also just be peppered with these short yardage targets. So he is considered on Sleeper this week as a projected half PPR wide receiver 19. So he is outside of that basically top 20 range. And the Lions defense, I will say, is good. But if the Lions play how we think they're going to play, they're going to put up a lot of points against Indianapolis defense. And the Lions' weak point of their defense is their passing game defense. Over the whole season, they've given up around 16 catches and 188 yards to receivers, and 0.6 touchdowns per game. And Josh Downs has had about 8 targets these last 4 games with about 5.5 catches and a half touchdown. So I think we can see Josh Downs with that a similar line around there. I think around 6 catches or more, hopefully getting that touchdown. Because if we think the Colts are going to have any chance, they're going to have to throw the ball, because I think the Lions are going to be committed to stopping the run, which kind of leads into Trent's sit here.
All right, I'll go with my sit. And I hate, as you guys know, I hate making this my sit of the week because I had very high aspirations for him this past season and all of our ranking shows and all that stuff. But I got Jonathan Taylor as my sit of the week. He's been I don't even know what he is on the season running back wise. He's been definitely a letdown. But with Anthony Richardson back, I don't know if he's even going to get the goal line carries, kind of what Jordan said all off season. Lions are giving up 14 fantasy points per game to running backs, and they're only allowing 65.5 rushing yards per game. I don't think the Colts have success running the ball with Jonathan Taylor. And I think if they get to short yardage, I think they're going to have Anthony Richardson punching in like what he did last week versus the Jets when he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So I really don't think you need to play Jonathan Taylor in this game. I don't think it's a good spot for him. Jordan, what are your takeaways you kind of like from this? On the waiver wire pod on Monday, I talked about that I actually like this spot for Anthony Richardson because I think he might get another rushing touchdown and maybe have some big plays. I like Alec Pierce is the other guy I like because he's kind of booming. I had him as a sleeper, but Seth had down, so I didn't want to do 2. But Alec Pierce is only 25% rostered if you're needing someone in this bad bye week, just a guy to put in there and play. He had 8 fantasy points last week. I think he has 5 TD catches on the season. So not a 4 or 5. So not a bad guy to play there, and really fits Anthony Richardson's play style well. So Richardson and Downs are kind of the deep ball guys, and Richardson really doesn't get sacked. Like, he's always looking for those big plays. So Jordan, are you still anti-Anthony Richardson? Do you think the benching helped him, or is it too soon to say? Like, he looked pretty good on Sunday.
I'd say it's probably too soon to say. This is a tougher matchup. So I love the Taylor sit. I'm right there with you on that one. And then I just love all these lines. Obviously, you're playing them anyways, but man, it's such I like all 4 of them. I think that the Amon St. Brown, the Jameson Williams, Montgomery, and Gibbs they're so good. And the best thing about them now is that what we saw last week, we've seen them do it a couple times. They're not afraid to just keep pouring it on, they won't let up. They won't quit. They don't just run the ball. They just keep going. They're throwing the ball in the fourth quarter up 35. So up 40. So you got to love that as a fantasy owner.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of David Montgomery shares this year, and it's been great. Especially last week, they just he's almost been, is it safe to say that Montgomery's just been way better value than what Gibbs was fantasy wise, in the draft?
Gibbs has been really good too all year too. They're just both been really good.
I think you're happy if you have either one of them, honestly, because David Montgomery was not your first running back you probably drafted. And even if he was, you probably have a stacked wide receiver room. And then you have David Montgomery, who's maybe not getting the exact volume you want, but the guy's scoring touchdowns, still only, maybe having, I think, 560 rushing yards. The guy has plenty of touchdowns.
Yeah, and I get every Sunday and Saturday I put the start sit tweet out on X at TFF Dudes, and basically anytime someone asks David Montgomery, it's like automatically like smash, like yes, as soon as I see that. Like I get a lot of start sits on David Montgomery, like leave me 3 guys and he's in there, and it's like that's always the easiest. Like David Montgomery is just so safe, like every single week. So, and this is a really good matchup for him. Colts on the ground are giving up. Rushing wise, they're the 7th best fantasy matchup for running backs, giving up 115 rushing yards per game. So really good spot there. Anything else we need to cover on this game? I think we can move on here. I'm going to say Lions win this.
I got Detroit.
Lions for sure.
Detroit.
One thing that you guys will find pretty interesting is David Montgomery has not finished in half-point PPR. He's only finished under 10 points, 11 points one time. And that was a 5.5. And that was playing against Minnesota, and which I think the Lions threw quite a bit. So
yeah,
he also only had 9 carries that game. Every other game, he's had more carries. So
he's about as safe as you can possibly get.
He's a consistent running back you can get, because if he's not getting the yards, he's getting the touchdown, and he's basically getting a touchdown every game. Basically,
he's the poor man's Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
exactly. Knowing the value, like. In a main league, I'm in here with Jordan. Like he took Montgomery, I think, right before me, but we both kind of knew that that's where he was going to go in those drafts. But yeah, I think Montgomery will be on a lot of championship rosters this year because he just was such good value. But honestly, though, Jordan, you think about it, like the running back position this year has been very good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the issue with the trend is that like RB0 didn't work as well this year. So like I don't know if David Montgomery will be on, because teams that win championships might be like the Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry teams, like
it's looking like that.
Did they have David Montgomery? No, because they're probably going receivers in those rounds. So it is kind of interesting to see, like, just the way
he's RB10 in my league. Montgomery's RB10 in my league, so he is up there. He's a top 10 running back that you got some. He went after some guys he shouldn't have went after. Seth, what do we have next?
Yeah, so our next game this week, we have the Tennessee Titans traveling to Houston to play the Texans. The line's at 41.5, and Houston is favored by 8.5. Jordan has a start in this game.
Yeah, I got Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's a start here. He has a top 10 matchup for wide receivers against Houston. He is the 5th. Houston's allowed the 5th most fantasy points to wide receivers, and Ridley has just been an absolute target monster, really since Hopkins left, and really so when Rudolph was quarterback, he was throwing to Ridley all the time. He did see a little bit of a tick down with Levis now, but I think he's fine in this matchup. We just saw Cooper rush and CeeDee Lamb did against this team. I feel good about Ridley here in this spot. And I think that he has a big game here. And I know in this last game, he had like a 76, a long touchdown could be called back. So, I mean, if he has that touchdown last week, that 60-yard bomb, his stat line looks a lot different from last week. So, really like Ridley here in this spot against this Houston secondary.
Yeah. So something I saw on X is my mind is a weapon, and his handle is Sleazeball FF. He is from Fresno, local guy, really cool guy, really like him. But he said there is no better playoff duo to own in fantasy football right now. Will Levis, since returning to the starting job in week 10, is averaging 17.9 points per game, QB 11, against 2 top 10 defenses, averaging 30 rushing yards per game, 470 pass yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception. Calvin Ridley, D-Hop was traded in week 8, 17.5 points per game, wide receiver 8 overall, 38 targets, 4th highest. Deep targets, he's number 1. Air yards, he's number 1. 358 receiving yards, 89.5 yards per game, 2 TDs. His upcoming schedule is Jaguars, Bengals, Colts, Jaguars. So that's week 14 through 17. That's his playoff schedule. So if you want to get risky with someone like Will Levis, that's a guy you can potentially stream if you're feeling really gutsy. But yeah, shout out to Sleazeball there. But yeah, I didn't realize how good Ridley had been doing, Jordan, and I saw that and I was like, man, he really is. He's just, when you watch him, like, he's getting a lot of targets. And yeah, like you said, it was that 60+ yard TD that got called back. So he's having a very quiet, good season. Maybe one of the few bright spots in Tennessee this late second half of the season. But outside of this, with this matchup here, they're playing the Texans. Is Pollard
I'm not
out?
playing Pollard.
Is he out
he's
though?
not
Like that's
out,
what I
but
was.
I don't really like him here.
Yeah, Texans are now this matchup, Jordan. There's been a lot of guys talking about Stingley maybe being one of the top corners in the NFL. Like he's shut a lot of guys down. That doesn't concern you at all. You just think the target, at least Levis isn't like Cooper Rush. I think he'll keep peppering him good.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't know, like their secondary hasn't been good all year. I don't know. I don't really see the Stingley stuff, but
the Texas. Okay, I've just seen a lot of hype on that, and I don't know. I got bombarded with a bunch of posts at me today because someone talked about how Stingley locked down CeeDee Lamb, and I said, yeah, it'd be nice if
CeeDee had like 90 yards receiving.
But when I think he went 0 for 6. I think he was 0 for 6 when Stingley was on him. Yeah. I think is what the stat was. So I basically said it'd been nice if he didn't have a JV quarterback throwing him the ball and of course I just troll people. So that's kind of what I do. But yeah, it was all on his side of the field because I said the same thing you did too, Jordan. But I'm going to go with Texans winning this one. Be nice if, we get like a Nico Collins game. And really, we talked about David Montgomery. It really might be Joe Mixon, who's that like second half hero. Because he went pretty late in drafts also.
Yeah.
Maybe later than Montgomery.
I got Houston.
Yeah, I'm going Texans here.
Texans. This is like this is kind of that like that's the Houston, Tennessee. That's like the the old stomping grounds team. Anyways, what do we got, Seth?
Yeah, so the next game we have Monday Night Football. We have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to LA to play the Chargers. This line is at 48.5, and Baltimore is favored by 3. Trent has a start in this game. Trent, we are going to be at this game.
Yeah, I'm going to this game with Seth, so that's kind of cool.
Cool invite.
Yeah, exactly. I really like Quentin Johnston here in this matchup, and just looking at him his last couple of weeks, Quentin Johnston has kind of like last week, I believe, was his highest targeted game he's had of the season, but he is on a touchdown streak. He scored in 3 straight games, I believe, with 6 touchdowns in the last 8. His target share is really rising. Had his career high 8 targets last game. So it looks like Herbert's really starting to trust him. And, red zone, turning a little bit of that red zone threat. And yeah, I really like Quentin Johnston. I think he's really coming on here and he's proving everyone wrong that he's not a bust, but I like the target share that's there. I like the touchdowns that he's been getting. And I even like Ladd McConkey in this game too, Jordan. And then top it off, we have how bad the Ravens secondary is. So you have the Ravens secondary, and then you have the big play Quentin Johnston. I think it's a really nice spot for Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey to put up some numbers, especially because Ravens are so tough against the run. I know we have a J.K. Dobbins revenge game, Jordan. I'll bring that up, but I think it's going to be through the air. This is going to be a good smash mouth game.
I love this spot for like Herbert and the wide receivers. So I love the Quentin Johnston call. I love the Ladd McConkey call. I like Josh Palmer's maybe like a deeper sleeper. He just hasn't been getting the volume this year.
Disley's good.
Disley's great. Like again, this is such a good matchup. I love Herbert this week. So really, really like the spot for the Chargers passing game. On the flip side, I think you just Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers. I think those are your 2 guys.
Yeah, and Lamar. You probably can't ever bench.
Well, yeah,
Lamar, right?
I just always I feel like that's a given, right? Like I don't really mention quarterbacks.
I think I'm going to stream Will Disley just because I'm playing my cousin who's be going to the game with us. I'm playing him in the matchup, so it would just be beautiful if I had Will Disley just score a couple touchdowns and be in the guy's presence live in action.
Will Disley has been doing some stuff recently. I started him this week because George Kittle just decided not to play this week, and so I just picked up Will Disley on Sunday morning before the game, and man, did it work out for me. So I'm just pretty happy about that.
There was some great like tight ends like smashes in week 11 because like I know a lot of guys that said, like, thankfully I played Will Disley. I just plugged Taysom Hill in the 2 lineups on Sunday, and it was just like absolutely just fantasy feast all day long. And then I actually played Anthony Richardson in 2 leagues. I just picked him up off the waiver and just said like YOLO, and that worked out wonderful. So, but yeah, so that was just 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 gassing myself up basically right there. Sorry. I know people don't like it when people do that. But
all you
Will
had to do is
Disley's
drive away from the pump.
Yeah. If you gas yourself up, just make sure you take the pump out, please. PSA. So I think this will be a good game. I think there'll be some good fantasy points here in this. I'm gonna go.
I'm going
Chargers win
Ravens.
this one. Are the Chargers the hottest team in football right now?
Possibly. I'm going Chargers too.
Chargers look good. Defense is
What did you
good.
say? You said
I'm doing
Baltimore?
Ravens here.
And then let's just call revenge game for the coach, because I think the last time these guys coached against each other,
we got the brother game. This is a brother game.
Yeah, Harbaugh Bowl. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a big deal. Like, there's a lot of stuff here. So I think I'm gonna go Chargers coach winning this one. Just 'cause I think, Super Bowl revenge game. I will try not to do revenge games anymore the rest of the pod. I am so sorry, guys. But
let's get into the next game here.
No, this will be a good one. Yeah, what do we got next, Seth?
So the next game we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to New York to play the Giants. This line is at 41.5, and Tampa Bay is favored by 5.5. Jordan and Trent, you guys both have sleepers. Trent, which one do you want to start with?
Let's hike it to Jordan, because this thing is gutsy. I thought about bringing this up on the waiver pod. I just couldn't make myself do it because I wasn't sure if it wasn't completely set in stone yet. But yeah, Jordan, I think you're trying a little hard to stick to that Italian roots here, but take it away.
Well, so the biggest issue is that I had a hard time finding a sleeper. So I went over the quarterbacks, and I'm like, oh man, like there's a lot of teams on bye this week. It's just hard. So like, I'm just gonna trust the matchup here. We got Tommy DeVito against this really, really, really bad like Tampa Bay secondary. It's the best matchup for quarterbacks. They allow the most fantasy points to quarterbacks, the 5th most passing touchdowns to quarterbacks, 4th most passing yards to quarterbacks. DeVito was okay last year. Like, he didn't set the world on fire, but he also wasn't horrible. Like, he had 1,100 yards last year, 8 touchdowns and 6 starts, only 3 interceptions. So, like, I guess 3 interceptions, 6 starts is kind of a lot. But I just 8-3 touchdown interception ratio with 1,100 yards and
He's
6
slinging
games started. Like, he's gonna throw the ball. Like, I don't really know what to say here. Like, this is all about the matchup, right? The matchup for me, this Tampa matchup is really, really good. Hopefully he throws the ball to Neighbors 20 times and gets there that way. I don't know. With all these teams on bye, Trent, maybe all you need is like 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. That probably gets it done. That probably you're probably happy with that. I am going to start Tommy DeVito in a super flex dynasty league. How about that one?
Yeah, I told you to make us an offer we couldn't refuse. I don't know if you did that, but you did give us a play here. It's kind of weird how this worked out, because I had this circled like 2 weeks ago for like, this is a Daniel Jones streamer game for the waiver pod, right? And then like I get a notification from Schefter, because he tweets at me sometimes saying like, it doesn't sound like Daniel Jones is going to take another snap as the starting quarterback for the Giants. And I was like, shoot, I don't want to go on my waiver pod before the news breaks and say, pick up Tommy DeVito if you're in an absolute pinch. So just how they're handling this whole thing with the Giants, with Daniel Jones, like he's 4th string quarterback now. He went from starter to 4th string.
I wish Drew Lock was starting in this game.
I wish it was Drew Lock too. So, and somebody said it. I can't remember who it was. It was the guy who played center for the Broncos all those years. The analyst. What's his name?
Saturday. No,
Broncos, not Broncos.
Saturday was the Colts. Broncos.
It was John Elway's center. What's that guy's name? So I saw him, and he said this is why the Giants aren't good, because they're going more after this sideshow than actually their best 2nd string quarterback. Like,
it's because no, they said it's because of if Drew Lock plays, they got to pay him a bunch of money. That's the
that's what it comes down to. Okay,
it's incentive based. Yeah.
So this is such a good matchup. Like, and with Daniel Jones, I wonder where he goes. He'd be a guy that'd be interesting to see if he went to like maybe the
He's gonna be a
Dolphins should go
backup
after
somewhere
Daniel
in Trent.
Jones. Dolphins should go after Daniel Jones as a backup. I don't know. I think that's just the default plays. Any other plays in this game, though? Any Italian jokes you want to say, George? Oh, I have a sleeper in here.
Yeah, Trent, you have a sleeper.
Yeah, my bad. Okay.
Wait,
And
let me
this
say
is-
one thing about Tommy DeVito. His
Okay.
over half a passing touchdown on underdog, smash the over.
What is it? Oh, it's a half?
It's half.
Okay. Yeah, smash
You're
it
telling
right
me
there.
he doesn't
Smash
throw a
it.
touchdown against the worst
Yeah.
defense?
Yeah, smash it
Come
like
on.
that bowl of ravioli, Seth. Here we go. My sleeper, I got Bucky Irving, Uncle Buck here. You know, it's kind of who the best hot hand is there in Tampa Bay. I know that Mike Evans is back, but the Giants are giving up 116 rushing yards per game. Last time we saw the Giants, Chuba Hubbard just ran all over them. I think Bucky Irving and Rachaad White both have good games in this matchup. And I think Bucky Irving, you know, gets a touchdown, gets his 80 rushing yards. So I really like this spot for Bucky as well. Yeah, I think it's a good rushing spot here. And I think you can play Tracy on the other side. Probably a really good Tracy spot too, right? With no
Tampa's pretty solid against the run. They're much better
It's the
against the run
pass,
than they
they're
are the
not good.
pass. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's that pass funnel
So-
they have.
Yeah. So anything else we need to talk about in here? Mike Evans is back. Start him up. Good Baker Mayfield spot. Like I think Baker's back to that spot where you can play him almost every single week.
Here's
now,
the
right?
problem, Trent, that the Giants are really good, man. They have a good defense. Like for all their issues on offense, their defense is really good. They don't give up a lot of passing yards to quarterbacks. They really keep quarterbacks and wide receivers in check. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a tough
but
spot.
Baker, the last couple games though, like they haven't been like easy opponents. They've been pretty good opponents, and he's still put up like
He's
decent
throwing the
numbers.
ball so much. That's why.
Yeah.
Right? They're just,
So
just
he'll have
throwing the
more.
ball.
Yeah. Like San Francisco, he only had 8 fantasy points, but KC, he had 18 fantasy points without Mike Evans, you know? So
Yeah.
like he can get it done. And now that he has his go-to red zone threat, it really does help him open things up and really go bombs away here. Fire the cannons, I guess is what I should say, right, Seth? Seth, you kind of went through that pirate phase for a while. So
No.
you look good with an eye patch though. All right, I'm going Bucks win this game. Anyone going Giants here?
No,
Get behind this
absolutely
DeVito. Get behind your
Yeah,
Italian
Bucks.
brother, Jordan.
I got the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm going Bucks.
All right.
All right. In this next game, we have the San Francisco 49ers going all the way over to Green Bay to play the Packers. This line's at 47.5 in the Packers. The Cheeseheads are favored by 2.5. I have a sit this game, so I'll just go right into it. My sit this week is Deebo Samuel. Okay. So Deebo, been an absolute bomb if you drafted this guy this year. You're not happy at all. Besides maybe his week 1 performance, this guy you've not been happy with. Maybe outside of like 1 or 2 games this year, you're not happy about it. Especially last week when you're down Kittle, a pass catcher, and Ayuk, you know, who's out for the rest of the season. Deebo should be shining, but you know who the real shiner is now at the 49ers? It's Juwan Jennings. He is the wide receiver 1. And I'll also say this too, the Packers defense, they have been doing really well at limiting wide receivers. They have only given up an average of 11 catches to wide receivers a game and 135 yards. I think it's possible that the 49ers get pretty run happy here, and I think they're going to try to get McCaffrey the ball. And when they do throw, it's going to be to George Kittle, who's had an insane year this year, and it's going to go to Juwan Jennings. So I just don't like Deebo Samuel. The amount of times he's going to be running the ball, I think it's going to go down with McCaffrey back. He'll still be doing some of those weird plays he does. But unless Deebo Samuel breaks some big play, he's not going to do squat this week. Sit him.
Yeah, I put a thing on X that just said, are we in or out on Deebo Samuel this week versus Green Bay? And it got a lot of smoke, and people are just like, they're absolutely done with him. Like 49er fans being brutal, saying trade him. Like, so yeah.
Even after what he
people on
did
X
to
overreact.
the long snapper.
Yeah, what have been his fantasy finishes since the long snapper slap? You know what I'm saying? Since the snapper slap, Deebo
I don't think it's
Samuel
anything.
he hasn't done anything.
What
Unless he got
game was
points.
that?
So he
2
got
weeks
10
ago.
points
This
week
Tampa
10.
Bay. So
Yeah. It'd be interesting to
he
see how many points he has since he slapped that guy. It's probably 4.
he's had 4 last week against the Seahawks, and he had 10 points and 10 points before that. In between a
He's-
I mean,
he's-
CMC coming back definitely hurts him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So he's been solid through the season. Like he's had some big, he hasn't had any like huge blow up games. He had 23 fantasy points in week 6 for Seattle, but he's had a couple double digit games. But it's definitely not like where you got that draft capital. Like you're not super happy with that. He's wide receiver 37 for a guy that you drafted in the first 3 rounds, probably. So I could see why guys are upset. 49. Jordan Love says he's been watching a lot of he watched the playoff game last year, kind of like what you would do, but he said he's excited for this game. Kid from California. I don't know who he grew up liking. So probably a big game he's had circled for a while. I think the Packers just get after it here. I think you can play Josh Jacobs. You can play Jaden Reed. Do we know if Nick Bosa's playing? I know he got a little banged up in the game last week, and the Seahawks scored both touchdowns with Bosa not playing, I think. What, Jordan?
I don't know if Bosa's playing or not.
Yeah. So that could be a big loss there. So fire up your Jacobs. I think Tucker Kraft bounces back here. I know that was tough, but anything else here you want to Christian Watson in a deep league? Maybe he catches a long one here at a certain point. It's kind of hard. It's kind of frustrating knowing who the Packers wide receivers are besides Jaden Reed. I saw Dontavian Wicks as a free agent in a dynasty league, and I was just like, I need to pick that guy up. It's a guy that maybe breaks out. Is really good here. So I'm going Packers win this one. Anyone going 49ers? I know this is like I usually say 49ers, but I think Packers handle business here.
I'm gonna go Packers as well.
All right. What do we have next here, Seth?
So the next game we have the no longer undefeated Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. This game total is at 43.5, and KC is favored by double digits at 10.5. Jordan, you have a sit in this game.
Yeah, so I got Chuba Hubbard as a sit this week. The Panthers are 10-point dogs, like Seth just said. Chiefs give up the least fantasy points to running backs. They give the least rushing yards to running backs. They're, by all standards, the best running defense in the NFL. And then Chuba, he's being a ton of work, but they also introduced Jonathan Brooks into the mix this week. His NFL debut as a rookie out of Texas. So I think there's a lot that muddies the waters a bit. They used a high draft pick on this guy. I know they just gave a contract extension to Hubbard, but you would think Brooks gets at least 5 to 6 carries. So that eats into maybe his 20 he normally gets. So now he's back down to 15 against this elite run defense. I just don't like this spot for Chuba Hubbard at all.
Yeah. They're going to get, man, I'm in a predicament here in a league, and I just want to ask you guys what you would do. This is one of those stupid leagues I'm in that has position limits. Okay. You can only keep so many per position. So I believe running backs, I can keep 4 running backs I can only keep 4. I can only keep 3 running backs. Sorry. Anyways, I have to drop 1. I can only keep 3 running backs, and I can keep 4 wide receivers. I've had Jonathan Brooks on my IR all season. Okay. Just to hold him.
Yeah.
If I don't get him out of my IR, I can't set my lineup. I still can't set my lineup. And when you can't set your lineup on Thursday, you're basically forfeiting the game, because unless you got it set perfect before then. Do I drop Rico Dottle? Do you think I drop Rico Dottle for Jonathan Brooks? I have Chuba Hubbard too. You think I should drop Dottle at full point PPR and just keep Brooks, or should I just say whatever?
I don't think it's Dottle. Who else?
Achane and Montgomery.
And you have Chuba?
And I have Chuba. You think
So
I should just drop Brooks?
Wait, you can keep 4 or 3? I'm confused now.
I can only keep 3 running backs. Sorry, that's positional lock is 3, but
So
I've had
Achane,
Brooks on
Montgomery,
my IR.
So you have Achane,
Montgomery, Dottle, and Chuba. Sorry, I said it's
That's
4.
4
Sorry,
though.
it is 4. Yeah, it's 4
Okay.
total. I have 5.
I think
IR
you just
spot.
don't. I don't think you just don't keep Brooks.
Just drop him. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I was like. He's just been on my roster the whole year, though. And like when I win this championship, I kind of want him to get a piece of it, because he's been there. He did all the time. So, anyways, that's kind of like it's tough to cut one of those bench guys right when you get the playoffs, right?
Mhm.
So I've held him this whole year, and Chuba's been a lot better. Chuba, I thought would be good. All my running backs been just solid. Like the team's like loaded. I'm in the same predicament with DJ Moore. Like I'm tempted to drop him for someone on the waiver wire because you have the wide receiver limit as well. Don't do leagues with positional limits. If it wasn't a work league, I would not be in it. Good spot for Kelsey. If you want to go back to that, like Panthers really struggle against the tight end position, but do we really trust him after I thought he was going to have a good game against the Bills. Just because I thought he'd show up for the big game. And then Worthy or Hopkins. I think you can kind of fire. I think your Chiefs players you can play is Hunt, Mahomes, Kelsey, Worthy, and
I think
Hopkins. Is there
Pacheco's
anyone
back this week, Trent.
I don't know
Is
if
he for
Pacheco's
sure?
actually going to play though. Is the thing and if he does, I would assume that he is limited at best. There's no way they're rushing him full go into this week. As a 10-point, I just don't see him. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play this week.
Yeah. So
I can see that.
anyone else? I don't think Rashee Rice. I think you can almost drop him, right?
Rashee Rice.
Point?
Yeah. You're not playing Rashee Rice.
So you got So you're playing Mahomes, Worthy, Hopkins, Kelsey. I don't think you can play Noah Gray and count on that. Spencer Schrader for your kicker there. And then Panthers side, guys you can play is Leggett, and maybe that's it. I'm curious to see how Bryce Young does in this game. I'm not expecting a lot. So I think Chiefs win this game, spend a lot of time on this one. Probably more time on this one than any other fantasy pod out there, but that's probably why you guys tune in. So hopefully it's not for the coughs you're missing. All right. Chiefs all the way across. What do we got next, Seth?
Next, we have the Sunday night game. We have the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to LA to play the Rams. This line is at 48.5, and the Eagles are favored not at home by 2.5.
They're favored on the road. So, man, back-to-back games, primetime SoFi. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a tough spot for Puka, Jordan. This Eagles secondary is tough. I want to see how the Rams do against this because Kyron Williams has kind of not been as good since Cooper Kupp and Puka came back. And it's mostly just because his TD streak has kind of ended, right? And then this Eagles defense is just a no-fly zone, right?
Yeah, they're really, really good.
I should have said made Terry McLaurin my sit of the week last week, Jordan.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I do think Puka can get there on volume alone. Cup 2, maybe. I think this line's too not it's too narrow. I think the Eagles should be favored by a decent amount. I guess it's because they're on the road. But I could see the Rams falling behind here and having to just throw. And so maybe Puka and Cup just get their own volume, So I think Kyron's in a little bit tougher spot. It's hard to just because they could really shut this run game down.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough matchup for the Rams. I just tend to think that Puka and Cup could volume their way there.
Yeah, the trolls are out there in Philadelphia. The fans really don't like the Eagles coach, Sirianni.
He's been really good. They've been good lately.
He's been good. Yeah. I've seen a lot of stuff that says the Eagles have the number one offense, number one defense. Let's see how Sirianni can screw this up this year. So the fans are really, it's funny that how much the fans, how hard they are on Sirianni. And I don't know if it's because of his antics.
They turn on you really quick because they made the Super Bowl, lost in a game they probably should have won, in my opinion. And then their defense was bad last year because they lost everybody. But
well, no, you look at it though, they won the Super Bowl with the Jaguars head coach. and they fired him what 2 years after? Like I don't know. Like what's the grace period of like you keeping a Super Bowl champion coach? You know what I mean? There's only a handful of them in the NFL, and so I'm going on this one. Yeah, fire up your studs in this game. Do we finally get a Devonta Smith game? Like he has just been nowhere to be found, like lost. This might be a good spot for Devonta Smith.
I think he's just a supplementary piece to this offense now. I think the Eagles are committed to running the ball because they have Saquon Barkley, who is good, and their offensive line is really good. And when they got to throw, they can throw. And I think Hurts just finds the open man, and I really don't think it's Devonta Smith all the time. So I like the Eagles this week.
Any chance Saquon Barkley's MVP? Like I feel like he's making a case for it. He's playing really good. Barkley's playing
probably
really
not MVP, maybe offensive player of the year. He's not going to win MVP though.
No, it's a quarterback award, Trent.
I know it doesn't mean we have to like it, Seth. Just because they tell you that.
I said McCaffrey should have won it last year.
Yeah, it doesn't say quarterback award in there, Seth. So just like don't just fall to the media. Just like you can fight back. It's okay. Don't be a leader, not a follower. Okay, Spanky. All right, I'm going to go Eagles win this one.
I got Eagles.
Yeah, I'm saying Eagles here.
Have we had a different pick on this pod? Have we all picked exactly the same?
No.
Okay.
You guys pick the Chargers. I picked the Ravens.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What we got next, Seth?
The next game we have the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Seattle to play the Seahawks. My team, this line is at 47.5, and Seahawks are favored by 1.5. So they think this game's going to be close. Man, this would actually be a pretty fun game to go to in Seattle. But I'm going to be in LA this week. So we don't have any starts or sits in this game. What do you guys want to talk about?
What do you so Cardinals defense, I don't know if they've allowed a TD in like 2 straight games. It might be longer than that. Like this defense has really cranked it up lately. They're really good, which JSN's been playing very well, but I don't know if I like them because of what this Cardinals defense has been doing as of late in their last couple of games. I'll look it up here and see exactly what they've done defensively, but they're really tough. Gannon's got those guys firing. Like Seth, your Seahawks kind of had a game they won last week that people kind of counted them out. How are you? Yeah.
No, I think JSN is like, I don't want to say he's the guy over DK. I think he's DK is an absolute freak, but I think JSN's a little more dynamic as a receiver. He has big playability, and I think he can come over across the middle in ways that DK Metcalf can't. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I like both of them. I think they're different receivers. I just think JSN at some point is just going to be the wide receiver one, and that could be next year, and that could be 2 years from now. At some point the Seahawks are gonna draft a quarterback, and I'm hoping we still have both those guys on the team. So
yeah, so it's 2 games that the Cardinals haven't given up a touchdown. That was versus the Bears, and who was the other one? And the Jets. So not great
that's
competition.
It's not like you're saying much there. So
no, but they're playing tough, and then they're playing the Seahawks here. So I
like Walker a lot here in this game.
And then what about you got to fire up Marvin Harrison, I guess. Is that just
James Conner's in a good spot.
Yeah, a lot of people are really high on Trey Benson this week, thinking he's a decent sleeper from stuff I've seen, stuff I'm reading. They like this spot for Trey Benson. I'm not saying that I'm advocating for that. And then Trey McBride. Start your main guys here. You see Kyler Murray doing a pizza review with that guy in New York this past week, and the guy had no idea who he was. You can see that happening to Phil. Kyler Murray probably, just standing next to him, you don't think this guy who's 5'8's a professional athlete unless you know who he is. He doesn't really stick out. Like, he's not a guy you pick out in a crowd and be like, yeah, that's the guy. You know what I'm saying? So, and the guy wasn't from America. I'm going Cardinals win this game. We got a buck bet on the line here, Seth. that the Cardinals finish ahead of the division of the Seahawks. So I'm sure you're
Well, this
a
division
trembling of fear.
is like, yeah, this division is so free right now. It's anyone's taking. I'm going Seahawks.
I got Seattle.
Jordan, you're in
Seattle.
Seattle too, Jordan. Okay, you probably lock Phil in there for Seattle.
Yep. This next game, we have the New England Patriots traveling down to Florida to play the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are favored by 7, with the line being at 45.5. What do you guys think?
I just
Like,
you
I
play
lo-
A-Chain, Tyreek Hill, maybe Waddle, Ramondre Stevenson, but I don't. This game sucks.
Waddle is a walking landmine that should be dropped to put on your waiver wire for someone else to pick him up. That's my take on Waddle. I dropped him a couple weeks ago, and I've never had so much stress leave my body. Well, fantasy wise, my fantasy body. So Waddle.
What does that look like?
Did you say? You said Jonnu Smith, right, Jordan? I think it's a good Jonnu spot.
David A-Chain and Tyreek Hill and Ramondre Stevenson.
I think it's an okay Jonnu
Yeah,
Smith.
it's fine. Hey,
yeah.
Hashtag revenge game
For Jonnu, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
right.
Actually, you're on.
Yeah,
you're onto something because he had like he was like a top 3 tight end in the NFL when he played for the Titans, went to the Patriots, did nothing. And then, now that he's back in Miami, where'd he go last year? I'm not sure where he went. Falcons. He was good on the Falcons. And then he's looking good again here too. I believe he's only 29. So he's still got a little bit of air in the tires. So tread on the tires. Don't count Jonnu out. I think it's a good spot for Jonnu. Patriots side, as much as I love Drake May and like I feel like you can play him, but it doesn't feel good. This Dolphins defense is good. Yeah.
Ramondre, and that's it. Just because he might volume his way there.
Hunter Henry too. That's the only guy. Hunter Henry and Ramondre,
yeah.
The only guys I feel good. You're gonna get like around double-digit points with Henry. I'm saying Dolphins win this one, and you could probably play decent Tua spot, Jordan. Like not awesome, but decent. Okay, fins all the way across. Just keep swimming, like you always say, Seth.
Trent,
do you like it when I call?
cry.
What do you like? What nickname do you like better, Seth? Setherton or Spanky?
They both honestly nicknames don't bother me.
I know, but which one would you prefer us to call you? No. Which one would you prefer though? You have to pick.
I'm gonna go with Spanky just because I don't want to give Phil the satisfaction of a nickname.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, next.
Trent, don't cry while I'm saying this. But the Washington Commanders are hosting the Dallas Cowboys. The line's at 44.5, and the Commanders are favored by double-digit 10 points. Trent, how you feeling with that white hat of yours? Hopefully you don't get hit in the head by a ceiling board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, with my luck lately, that might just happen. Put me out of my misery. Anyways, food strikes don't work when you're an emotional eater, I found out. So that is over. Also, going against the old coach, Dan Quinn, the guy we probably should have kept. It's bad. I talked about the defense looking good. CeeDee Lamb, that's it. I don't even think Ferguson's for sure playing. I think he might be out.
I think if like Schoonmaker might be like I don't know, like a bye week fill in, like sleeper. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's a Brian Robinson smash spot though, Trent.
Yep, smash spot for Brian Robinson. I will probably not be watching this game because I care about my mental health, my well-being.
He'll watch the highlights later.
Yeah.
On it. He'll follow on X.
I'll follow on X. I'll be chirping. Don't worry. Don't count me out. What else, Seth? Anything else here? Terry McLaurin. Do we maybe get a Noah Brown game? Do you think Dan Quinn runs the score up on him? This might be a spot where he does it, right? And you got to think he knows the defense. I guess he knows the defense better than anyone, so he probably can, do some stuff here. So
yeah,
I just think Brian Robinson's gonna have a really good game. And then I'm not really sure. I mean, Noah Brown's probably fine too with Terry.
That's a
Terry
sleeper.
McLaurin's got a
Might
good
be a
game
reach, to be
too.
honest.
Yeah, Noah Brown is just the sleeper that I continually don't give up on. Jaden Daniels needs this game more than anyone because he stunk it up the last 2 weeks. So he needs a bounce back spot, and this is the spot for him. So absolute smash spot for Jaden Daniels. Maybe runs around, all that good stuff.
I got Washington.
Yeah, I'm going
Commanders.
Commanders there. All right, next
Rookie of the Year
game. We have the Las Vegas. Yeah, the Las Vegas Raiders hosting the Denver Broncos. Denver is favored by 5.5, with the line being at 41.5. Bo Nix. Just saying.
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Bo Nix has been good. Definitely wrong about Bo Nix. I was for sure. So Denver running backs, Trent, are a really good spot, but they're such a mess.
Which one?
Guys, Estime, Javonte, Jaleel, I don't know. If you told me if you guaranteed me one would get 15 carries, I'd love that one, but you can't guarantee me that. So
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton's still good. Vele's interesting. Bowers always is a smash spot.
Absolutely smash. Bowers is probably one of the biggest L's I've taken in my entire life, next to the Gax pump. Was totally wrong on him. And then, yeah, estimate he
didn't
like
play,
deemed
Trent,
the starter.
Like he barely played.
Yeah, he was deemed the starter and he got 23% snaps. Like what happened
I
there?
understand that. It's so annoying.
Rod Payton is just trolling. He's trolling right now.
Yeah.
Trolling
Javonte
everyone.
got 52%. And Jaleel and me, he got 15%. So yeah, just a absolute mess. Like, and here's the deal. Have we talked about the Bears yet? We haven't, huh?
No.
Because I was like, I don't really like DeAndre Swift's matchup this week. So I'm like, playing a good team, do I just wake up Sunday morning and just say I'm going to play Estime just because, have another gut call on Sunday morning? You still would have, you told me the same thing about Anthony Richardson too, though, on Sunday. So like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't think I can do it. Smash spot for the Broncos. We think Peyton, the Broncos ran the score up last week. They might do it again this week too.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably will.
Trent, here's the problem with what you're saying about Estime. You literally don't know if he's actually going to
he might not even see the field.
Game.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like at least DeAndre Swift is playing the whole game. Like at least that, right? Barring anything crazy, like he's playing 70% of the game. Estime might step on the field 2 plays and be done.
Yeah, I don't know if Swift is playing the whole. I think he popped up on he missed practice day with a groin injury.
Well, then that solves your problem for you if he doesn't play.
And then Roshan Johnson actually had a lot of carries. He had 42% of the snaps. So, yeah. But I'm going to say Broncos win this one. Outside of Brock Bowers, I don't think you can play anyone on the Raiders. Nope. That might be the rest of the season. Yeah.
I got
Denver next, Seth.
Yep, we got the last game on the slate, boys. We do have quite a few teams on buys. But our last game this week, we have a pretty low total. We have the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Chicago. This line is at 39.5, and Minnesota is favored by 3.5. What do you guys got?
Jefferson, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift. It's a horrible matchup for Swift, though. But the Bears, man, you cannot trust them absolutely at all.
No, you can't. Maybe the new OC with Caleb Williams, maybe it's okay. Aren't the Vikings? The Vikings have been tough on defense, but the last 3 quarterbacks they've played have not been great quarterbacks. From Mac Jones, Joe Flacco, Will Levis. Like Levis has done some decent numbers, but maybe with the weapons Caleb Williams has, maybe with the new OC, maybe the Bears just scrap something together and claw a game together. Who knows? I have Vikings winning this game. Jefferson, Aaron Jones, and Addison if you absolutely have to. But Addison almost had 2 TDs last week, so it might be a decent spot. He got that one helmet-to-helmet call on him in the end zone where he dropped the touchdown. So he almost had 2 touchdowns, but it's like Addison's making huge plays, but it's very little volume, so it's not super fun and not a great spot either. So I'm going Minnesota. I don't think Sam Darnold hasn't quite been what he was to make you really want to even talk about him, but Anything else here we want to talk about, guys, here for
No.
week 12? So, guys, let us know in the comments if you missed Phil. If you didn't miss Phil, also let us know in the comments. That's just, it's helped to have some positive reinforcement for everybody here. Check us out on YouTube. Remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes. Really helps us out. I will have the waiver pod coming out to you on Monday. Early waivers. Don't miss that. Jordan and Seth have their underdog show here on Friday, only on YouTube at TFF Dudes. We will have something for you next week. Not exactly sure with Thanksgiving coming on and all that stuff. Maybe we'll do something a little different, but it should have some stuff, at least the waiver wire show. So we'll see you next time, guys. Remember, don't be rude, share the dudes. And as always, take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.